All right, let's just jump right into this explainer. Today, we're decoding an ancient Zen system that's literally designed to help you build an absolutely unbreakable, almost frightening level of discipline. We are completely throwing out that whole idea of relying on fleeting motivation, and instead, we're going to talk about how to actually reprogram your entire identity.
Because look, we all know that one person, right? The one who just keeps going while everyone else is making excuses by week 3. They show up, they execute, and they never, ever stop. You look at them and think, okay, that's just not normal. Well, today, we are going to learn exactly how they do it. And spoiler alert, it's not because they were born with some superpower of willpower. It's actually all about a very specific system.
So, part 1, the consistency trap. Let's look at a guy named Raphael. Super smart, highly successful programmer, but he had this massive, glaring problem. He could not stick to any new habit for more than 2 weeks to save his life. He'd start out so strong, Monday rolls around, total motivation. But then Wednesday hits and the mental gymnastics begin. And by Friday, just complete and utter surrender. I mean, does that sound familiar to anyone else? He was essentially fighting the very architecture of his own brain. He tried the habit tracking apps, the accountability partners, the whole shebang, and absolutely nothing stuck.
Which brings us to part 2, the secret of Gyoji. Raphael's massive breakthrough rightly happened when he stopped looking at modern tech for the answer and actually looked backward to ancient history. He stumbled upon how Japanese monks at the Ai Temple operate. Get this. They have been waking up at exactly 3:30 a.m. every single day since the year 1200. Not 3:25, not 3:35, exactly 3:30 a.m. How on earth do they do that? Well, the secret is a concept called Gyoji. It translates to continuous practice without gaps. For these monks, the option to just hit snooze, stay in bed, or negotiate with themselves simply does not exist in their minds. The thought of, maybe I'll skip today, literally never even registers. They've totally removed the burden of choice from the equation. You see, our modern approach usually fails because our brains put commitments into 2 distinct buckets. You've got reversible commitments, which just turn into endless mental negotiations. And then you have irreversible commitments, which actually force an identity shift. Harvard neuroscience backs this up. When you make a behavior completely public, your primitive brain views failing as an actual survival threat. Back in ancient tribal days, losing your status meant death. So by making a vow in front of others, you turn this flimsy, reversible promise into a rock-solid, irreversible reality. So what did Raphael do? He made a truly terrifying public declaration. He wrote down, "I am a person who meditates 20 minutes every day at 5 a.m. for 90 days. He signed it, blasted it out on social media, and directly told his friends and his girlfriend. Sure, his friends were like, dude, you're being so dramatic. But that was exactly the point. He intentionally made the pain of quitting and looking totally foolish so much worse than the pain of just waking up and doing the work. Okay, moving to part 3, eliminating every variable. Making that public declaration officially killed his mental negotiation, which was huge. But Raphael was still waking up fighting a brutal war against his own biology. His tired body didn't care about his reputation online, it just wanted to sleep. So he leaned into the monk's second principle, non-negotiable hours. He locked in 5 a.m. And look, it wasn't because he was some morning person. He did it to stop his brain from burning through its precious glucose, trying to decide when to do the habit. At 5 a.m., the whole world is asleep. There are no emails pinging you, no random distractions, and 0 excuses to push it to later. He completely eliminated time as a variable.
But, of course, his brain then tried to negotiate what to do during that time. Maybe I'll read today. Maybe I'll stretch. No. Variety is actually where consistency goes to die. So Raphael locked down his personal ungo, a strictly dedicated period of practice. He mapped out 3 exact steps: 20 push-ups, 10 minutes of meditation, and 10 minutes of reading. The exact same order every single day. He removed the what right along with the when. And this all leads up to a really magic number, 66. Researchers at MIT found that it takes right around 66 days of doing the exact same thing in the exact same context for the brain's basal ganglia to totally take over. And once that happens, it's a game changer. Willpower becomes completely obsolete. You are no longer consciously deciding to do the action. You are literally just executing a pre-programmed sequence. Which takes us to part 4, practicing without gaps. Everything was smooth sailing for Raphael until he hit the real danger zones. Day 35, he caught the flu.
Day 40, he had to travel for work, right? These are those exact moments where almost every single one of us would just throw in the towel. But this requires a massive mindset shift. That whole all-or-nothing mentality, it's a trap. The Zen master Dogen actually taught that practice has to continue without a single moment of gap. Now, taking a planned, intentional rest day as part of, say, an athletic program, that's strategic progress. But skipping your daily routine just because you're a little tired or conditions aren't absolutely perfect, that creates a gap. And gaps are exactly where your old, lazy self crawls right back into your life.
So how did Raphael handle those danger zones? Well, he literally did his push-ups in an airport bathroom at 4 in the morning. He meditated in the backseat of an Uber. He did his reading squished on a crowded plane. He probably looked completely absurd and people definitely thought he lost his mind. But it didn't matter. He maintained total momentum. Because true practice doesn't require perfection, it only requires continuity.
Now for the final piece, part 5, becoming unbreakable. You might be sitting there thinking, okay, sure, that's great for a planned business trip. But what about when life throws a massive, unexpected curveball at you? A sick kid, a blown tire, a flooded basement. Those are the ultimate consistency killers because they force you to make decisions under intense stress.
You actually eliminate that stress through something called pre-solving. Yale psychologists basically confirmed what Zen monasteries have known for centuries. If you pre-solve your obstacles on paper ahead of time, you completely bypass decision fatigue during the chaos. Monasteries don't convene a board meeting when the meditation hall floods. They just automatically move to the dining hall. If it's raining, your push-ups happen in the garage. If you wake up with a horrible hangover, you execute a pre-planned minimum viable routine, like 2 push-ups, 1 minute of meditation, and reading just 1 page. You entirely remove the need to make a choice.
So fast forward to day 90 and Raphael had completely transformed. He was an unbreakable machine. Some days he'd wake up and not even consciously remember doing his push-ups because his body just moved through the motions automatically. His friends were watching him with this mix of awe and honestly a little bit of fear, telling him his consistency was genuinely scary. And hey, when people start telling you your discipline isn't normal, that's when you know you've won.
Ultimately, the Gyoji system isn't about just trying harder or clenching your teeth. It is quite literally about the death of your old, inconsistent self and the rebirth of a brand new, unbreakable identity. You stop being someone who's just trying to build a habit, and you simply become someone who is that habit. It's just who you are now. So now that you know the ancient secret of continuous practice without gaps, I want you to take a hard look at your own life right now. Where are you leaving gaps? What reversible promises are you letting yourself slip on? And most importantly, what scary, completely irreversible public declaration are you going to make today to guarantee your own success?